My name is Stefan Brigati, and I've been investigating the paranormal for over 30 years. Come along with me and my team as we take a journey into the unknown. This is My Darkest Hour.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to a very special edition. Today we are coming to you live from the University Magickus back rooms. Yes, very special place. Many amazing things happen here. So first, before we get started, I want to go ahead and bring on all the people that are going to be joining us for this special live edition. If you see it on Twitch, if you're not watching it on Twitch, you're probably listening to it on YouTube or watching on YouTube as you're cleaning the house over the weekend like most people do. So, hey, right off the top, I want to go ahead and bring on Nick, who is the headmaster of the University Magickus, the entire creator, and bring on the rest of the cast. And we're going to be talking about some amazing things, asking questions. Hope you guys enjoy it, interact with us, and we're going to continue doing this. So let's start this very, very special first edition of the University Magickus. And there's Nick, everybody. Look at him. How are you?
Oh, doing well, and you?
I'm doing well. First, right off the top, I want to say you have incredible hair. I just want to say it looks good.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's bring an incredible topic as well. So
Yeah.
what I would start discussing, as you know, we do the school, we do so many classes, but there is something that always has been forbidden. And what was? The courses. We have been, I remember back in Haunted Diary, as you know, we had a previous school before. There was pretty much every single week a class on courses. Then in the Magick, however, we do have a different community, okay? And a different community does not always embrace our own beliefs. So in this case, I wanted to bring the Vodou Witch, Zehara, and Liz. I know that Liz has been always doing a lot of light classes, but there is something that I want to discuss. So we always do separate classes. We never bring all the ones together, like the groups that follow one path, they do one class. The groups that do follow the other path, another. But there is something that I wanted to do today. I wanted everyone to bring, your own group into this live. And then, of course, we need to start explaining why you have your ideas. I will start with the first question. So, Zehara, why do you think that cursing people, it's a good thing in case they do something bad?
So I am not, I have, my first thing to say is my spiritual practice, which I practice, there is no such thing as karma. So we do not believe in karmic law. So to me, if somebody does something that is egregious and really egregious, that it's not something small, but it has to be something extremely big, then I see no issue with doing a hex or a curse on that individual in terms of doing it for protection or doing it for revenge. I see nothing wrong with that. And that is based on the fact that my specific spiritual practice does not believe in karma. I know that, in Wiccan practice that they have the threefold law, but I really firmly believe that that is strictly really a Wiccan practice. I think that that is something that's found in Wicca and not in every single spiritual culture.
Very good. Let me stop you right there. Liz, so talking about karma, do you think that cursing a person can bring you something bad? Like bad energies, bad luck, bad karma in general?
I think it is possible, but as a Norse Witch, I don't necessarily believe that karma is the reason why you shouldn't use curses. I think the main reason is that if you do it wrong, or the person is more powerful than you that you are cursing, it can be reflected back on you without you realizing it. So it's not necessarily karma, it's the fact that the person you're cursing reflects that curse back on yourself. So it comes back on you without karma.
Stefan, which class would you follow? The one that teaches you about the karma, or the one that tells you that karma doesn't exist in this case?
Well, it's a good interpretation of whatever. It's, once again, we go back to the basics of everything and its intent. Well, we intending harm on a certain person, and to what extent of what kind of level. When we start talking about karma, it's like, okay, the yin and the yang, you're going to do something bad's going to happen to you. It's going to come back to you. Or something good, same thing. But like Liz was saying, it depends on what they're doing. If somebody's already well versed in curses and stuff, they're already going to have protection going on. If they're expecting something, or just in general, me growing up in a Wiccan style household, I used to put on sandalwood oil, some black cat oil, just random things to protect me from having things cling to me throughout the day. So the same thing is going to apply. If somebody's well protected and you're sending something out to them, it can turn into a boomerang and come back. And sometimes it can come back even stronger by gaining momentum of force. So once again, it's not the laws of karma is this. These are rules, these are regulations. Like, there's no real rules or regulations. There's intent, and then what we're trying to do and the recourse of it, because every action gets a reaction. So I think it really depends on what we're trying to do.
Very good. So I do one more thing, then I go back to Liz for one more second. And Zehara, don't worry, I'm going to go back to you for the next one. So Liz, what do you think about people that do business towards with curses in general?
I think it's the most pagan paths respect life and nature and free will, and by throwing a curse out to somebody, you're disrupting that free will. You're disrupting that natural balance of energy, like Stefan said, the light and the dark. There has to be light for there to be dark, but there's a natural order to things. And as a pagan, I respect that natural order. So for me to throw out something as a curse, I'm actually asking for that natural order to be disrupted.
Okay, I have to be honest. Me and Zehara, we have been doing something. We just started for the first time do this kind of collaboration, I would call, about destroying the natural order. And I think, however, throwing a curse to someone, like in this case, we had a particular situation with Zehara that, I think this person really deserved it. And because the person, whoever it was just a shitty guy. And I think it's right, because people that do a mistake, they must pay. Zehara, what do you think? If a person does like something bad, like the one that happened, does he deserve it, or do you do it only for business?
Nope. So here is my justification. So first off, I'd like to go back a little bit and talk about the idea of sort of having a curse bounce back. So I practice Vodou. And so in Vodou, we work directly with spirit, and we work with the Loa. And when we work with the Loa, it is the Loa who tells us, yes, do this, or no, do not. And it is their retribution that we deal with. So we don't deal with somebody throwing another curse back at us. We deal with the Loa's punishment, which is much, much worse than somebody throwing a curse back. So for me, to curse somebody or to hex them is that person has to do something extremely egregious. It cannot just be, somebody, flipped you off on your car ride home. That to me is not. If somebody does something that is specifically doing harm to another individual, then yes, I do believe I have the right to step in and prevent that from happening. If that individual, and I am going to say, not to get political, but I will say ICE, for example. I do believe I have a right to curse individuals that are harming other people. Absolutely.
Can I come back on
that? I want your answer. Yes, I get it.
I'm a Norse Witch, so I believe in the fates rather than karma. So my way of throwing a curse would be to ask the fates. So I'm asking for an acceleration of fate. So if I believe that person is a bad person that deserves what they're going to get, the fates will get round to it. All I'm asking them to do is accelerate that. So accelerate karma. So I will do blood magic to ask for the fates to take control and accelerate the justice, basically, is what I would ask for, rather than throwing a curse, specifically saying, I'm asking for this to happen. What I would say is, if it is their fate and is the right and just thing as I think it is, this is what I'm asking.
So there is something,
let me get in here for real quick. So when I was talking about when someone's trying to curse you and it coming back, I'm not saying it's just the curse coming back and swinging back. It's the return, regardless how it returns. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like karma's like a wall that just bounces off. No, and you're saying, Zehara, you're using certain spirits when you're doing the voodoo casting and stuff, of course. But you're saying that their return can be much worse. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Regardless of how it's done and it's coming back, it's going to affect you. Like you were saying, their return is going to be much worse, and I totally get that. But any messengers we're using for the curses, spiritually, they might turn around and some of it's going to come back, and it might not even be the same exact type of curse, but something reflective of that balance is going to come back in to us if it's not strong enough or doesn't take enough, but it's got to go somewhere.
So since we were talking about the eyes, better than me that you have a strong belief, President Trump himself has a strong belief in Christianity. So let's connect it to the courses immediately. There are different kind of courses. You all know this. There is one specific one that Christians believe into, which is the biblical and divine courses. So the course is only going to take effect if we can say you don't follow the divine law. Okay. Do you believe in this divine law? Since you mentioned the eyes, it is strongly connected to President Trump. So do you believe in this, Zehara? Do you believe in this divine law?
I do not. I definitely do not believe in divine law. No, absolutely not.
Liz?
Yes, but not in Christian divine law. I believe in my own, like the gods and goddesses. So the fates, the way that the cosmos, the universe is constructed. I believe there is a divine law.
Okay, so now going back to the other. Since since you follow the gods and goddesses, would you curse somebody if he doesn't follow this divine law?
I wouldn't call it a curse. No, I'm asking for justice. I'm asking for the gods and goddesses to judge that person. I'm not presenting judgment. I'm not the person. I'm not qualified. I can say I didn't like this and I put it before you, but I'm not qualified in terms of the way the cosmos is made up to say that's wrong. You need to stop it. I'm cursing you. I don't believe I have the authority to do that. That's for the gods and goddesses to do.
Stefan?
I believe a lot of the same thing. It's not like there's certain laws that are set in place. It's all energy work, and obviously there are gods and goddesses and energies that are way stronger than me. I'm just a tiny little light bulb, a small light in this magnificent universe, And I think things happen differently. It's not always going to be the same laws that you're going to follow in the same reaction. It's going to be different. And like Liz was saying, she's talking to the gods to make this decision. She's throwing it out there saying, you know what? I'm not cool with this. What do you guys think? And then it goes out, and then hopefully there is some kind of reaction that affects that person. So I agree with a lot of that, but I don't think there's any set in stone laws that are holding things back from happening.
But the score is still the same. So, whether Zehara decides to curse or you go to someone else to ask, the guy is still going to suffer. So,
yeah.
I would support in that case Zehara with all,
For me, however, like what happened. So to me, and this has happened several times where that person does not for years, many years, and still ongoing, nothing ever happens. Like you can put that in front of a spirit and say, please, have this person get justice, and it never happens ever. So I have no problem stepping in at all and taking over that justice.
As a fatalist, I believe that anything that I can think of as a punishment, fate will find something 10 times worse than I could ever imagine. So even if I have to wait for it, it is going to be worse than I could ever bring down on that person. So I'm more than happy to wait and trust the spirits, trust the gods and goddesses. I've had it where I've asked for karma. I've done my blood ritual. I've asked for the gods and goddesses to intervene on my part, and it's taken a long time, but it's hundreds times worse than I would have ever asked for. Well, they always say karma's a female dog, don't they? And revenge is a dish best served very ice cold. And for me, the fates stepping in 10 years down the line, I'm happy with that, because I know that it will be 100 times worse than anything I could construct.
So put it this way, then we can go into the next curses, which are the conditional curses. In a sense that you're throwing a curse. You can only do it yourself, Stefan. But the only thing is that it only happens in case of a condition. You know what I mean? In case that person does something bad. For example, Liz can throw one out to me if I keep getting paid to hire people for courses, and which is something bad. A lot of people see it bad. I don't. And in this case, does it justify, since I'm harming someone else, does it justify the conditional one, Stefan?
It really depends on the intent again. If someone's trying to take advantage or cause harm to gain power or a conquest over somebody, then that might be a little oppressive sort of state, and then we're asking these spirits and beings that are around us to do this kind of work, and some of them are just like, wait a minute, I don't know about that, And with curses, I think when people do something wrong, that's the start of the curse. It's not. It starts within them. There's some bad, negative stuff's happening around them. It's going out into the universe. Liz says she mentions it to the gods and stuff. Say, hey, check it out. Zehara says that she is the catalyst. She's okay jumping in, and I don't really see anything wrong with that. If you want to expedite it and put a little bit more of your energy to let's get this going, then sure, why not? But I think it's what we're asking for at the same time. How much damage are we trying to inflict on somebody's life as far as curses go? Are we trying to get them to have a bad day? That's one thing. Are we trying to get them to lose control of their car and go off the road? That's a whole nother ballgame. These are different levels. So I think it really depends on the intent of what we're trying to do.
Very good. And then we go back to one of the things that I was saying before. Maybe for one person, doesn't work, even for years. However, during the years, the person can actually die for natural reasons, okay? So you know what happens in this case? What happens? There is something called a generational curse. A generational curse is something that, for example, I don't know, Zehara throws it on me, I have a daughter, I pass away, and my daughter carries it over. So in this case, Zehara, would you take back, would you regret what you did? If yes, how would you follow up?
So ancestral curses are really big. I think a lot of people have them and don't realize it. But ancestral curses, that is something that is something that, to me, is something that happens within a family. So a family member may have, obviously pissed off the wrong person, but they can be broken. A family curse can be broken. And it takes an individual who knows how to do it and knows how to, break a curse that can do it. So they're not something that can last forever. They just need the right person to be able to break a generational curse.
That makes a
What
lot of
about
sense.
then we will go, Stefan? What do you think?
Generational
What would you
curses,
do in this case?
exactly. It starts with one condition of something happening. Maybe somebody at one point made a deal with something, trying to gain power or strength, knowledge, whatever it is, trying to gain something, making a deal. And they don't hold on to that deal, something happens, and then it goes to the next person. We see movies about this stuff all the time, so it definitely comes from some lineage of something that's really happened. A good example, Bruce Lee, his father had a curse on him. Supposedly he died mysteriously. Bruce Lee died mysteriously. Brandon Lee died in a weird circumstance. So something happened at one point where it's carrying on through this generation, and we see that. So one, like Zehara was saying, something needs to break that tradition. Someone needs to either honor that whatever deal that was made, or they have to really put a shield up against it to protect the generations of the family. So I think it really depends on what the situation was and how the best way to do it. Because sometimes these things go on and on and on, and we don't even know where it ends. It could just continue going.
I do have one question then now for Liz. Liz, I know that you follow the law for your job. I don't know if you want to share it or not. However, now I'm gonna go deep in this. Since you believe in, God, goddesses, everything, would you put it as, something like an official law? Because, as we were telling before, in America, there is a strong belief in Christianity. And so would you put this kind of courses against the law? Like the person can actually be persecuted legally?
I think that's a very grey line, because they tried that with witchcraft in the past, and it leads to persecution of people who are innocent. Proving somebody has thrown a curse or has actually thrown a curse and not just thrown words, then without the intent is a grey area, and then you get people jumping into the witch hunt. So no, I wouldn't make it against the law. I think there's enough natural law for the law of the universe, the law of the gods and the goddesses that will take care of itself, rather than the law of the land.
Then there is something, apart from people that can be cursed. Let's go back about objects. Okay, so there are different kind of, things that can bring bad luck. So in this case, it can be I don't know if it's the same in the other countries. Black cat brings bad luck. I never believed in this. Okay.
That's a big black cat too.
So, yeah, big one. And then even dolls. Okay, I can see that Stefan has somebody keeping in company tonight, no?
Oh yeah.
So
He's very spirited, very active, and he's way into this conversation too.
I tell you something, talking about dolls. What do you think about Annabelle? I saw one of the guys, Dan Rivera, passing. He was 54. He died in July 2025. We all know that Annabelle is strong. Whoever touches Annabelle, there are different kind of accidents. Like I remember there was one guy struck by a lightning, and then of course done by heart attack. There is one thing: they are all connected by natural deaths. Okay, it's not it's not like bad luck. Somebody kills you, something. You have a bad accident against someone else. It's always only you. Okay, how would you explain this? Just give me an idea, Stefan. You can start. You have you have your haunted object tonight. I wouldn't call it object. My mistake. And
yeah, don't call her an object. She gets really upset. No, but so in a case of someone like Annabelle, of course, super popular Annabelle, people are touching her. They're making a contact with that energy, even if it's not the doll itself. she is consumed with an energy around her, which is the driving force. And, I know people who have touched her and have not had a problem. I mean, we all know I do Ghost Adventures, and of course, Zach touched Annabelle one time filming at the museum. Really weird situation, but nothing really bad happened to him. I mean, got some bad press sometimes, and had suffered with his eyes after a while. But I'm not going to say that's a curse. That's just Zach getting older. But there are times in stories of people going to see Annabelle and tapping on the glass, and you know how kids can be, just thinking they're invincible and everything's a big joke and antagonizing her. And the story is that the boy they kicked out of the museum for doing that left on his motorcycle, and he was killed in a motorcycle accident right after that. So everyone puts that at curse. Robert the doll, good old Robert down there in the Keys. If you do not ask him to take a picture, he will curse you. I have on my podcast, I have interviewed multiple people who have had experiences with Robert, even well-known investigators that I just found out randomly had a curse on them because of Robert the doll. And they lost their houses, they lost their jobs, like series of bad luck, one after another. So I believe these certain type of objects have something with them, energy sources around them. Once again, we're dealing with energy sources. And that energy source can go out and cause harm, if need be.
There is something, about these accents. A lot of people yet even go to touch. They were not experts. They simply go there to take a TikTok, because if you open a TikTok, there is one guy which is getting pretty famous, that he goes inside haunted asylums and he throws like the Lady Gaga and something happens. He puts like a disco, Now, these kind of things, they are funny, but reckless. I'm not saying that you have to believe, okay? I don't care if they believe it or not. However, there is something that you shouldn't play with, okay? This is for sure. So, do you think that a guy that plays with fire, in this case, deserves something? Liz?
I think it's down to respect. I think it's respecting the energy, respecting the natural order. And I think if you don't respect that natural order, there will be some comeback on you. Whether that's karma, whether that's natural justice, whether that's the gods and goddesses judging you. As a Norse witch, the gods and goddesses aren't the ones who judge. It's the Norns, the fates, the universal knowledge. And if you don't have respect for that, then I think, you deserve everything you're going to get. But it comes from something bigger than the gods and the goddesses, and it comes from something bigger than I could ever conjure.
Zehara?
Yeah, I mean, I think so for me, when it comes to spirits, I think that people need to be very respectful. I think that spirits are first off, they were people who were living at one point, and we need to be very respectful of the spirit realm. I work with spirits on the daily, so I very much am respectful to them. And I think if you want to play with fire, you're going to get burned. So I really am very much, I don't take people who mess with spirits for fun lightly. Spiritual energy is very strong. So people who want to joke around with, items like Annabelle the doll and kind of take them as jokes and mess around with them, they're definitely going to get burned on the other end of that.
But in this case, they deserve it. So you see that it's the same thing of courses. That's why I wanted to connect this so strongly. Because I think if you mess up, whether it's a course that you can control or something that is messing up, that even God, the goddesses and everything, I think if you do a mistake, you should pay, in any case. Then, of course, if I see it from the business side, okay, this thing even of getting contacted by people for courses didn't come from me. It just happened. Okay, when I saw, for example, I saw this, whoever remembers, the witch we had back in the Haunted Diary, okay, that I was mentioning before. And Kaya, I can say her name. I was a big fan of her. And however, I still remember, I need to say one thing. All the black witches never bothered a single time the white witches for what they were doing. All the white witches, every time we were doing something about curses, it was a fucking drama. Sorry for my French. It was a drama. I remember they were calling FBI, ICE, CIA, everyone. I'm not kidding. So I think, what I like, about Magick is that we are more open. We embrace pretty much everything, but we still need a bit more of opening. Going back to the Vodou and Vodou Witch, it's why I was looking at that name. You may not know. So as you know, I've been managing the school over the years. There is one thing. You know why I never asked a Vodou. I cannot say or I can. Some people complained in the past that I put white people to do Vodou. I got so many complaints there. I can tell you now.
Oh, I'm sure.
I never give a fuck. So, and can you justify that? So, as a white person,
yes,
you think?
Yes. So let me justify this. It's very simple. So I practice New Orleans voodoo, and New Orleans voodoo is an open practice. It is not like Haitian voodoo, where it is a closed practice. New Orleans voodoo is an open practice. Anyone can practice voodoo. There is an extent to which one can practice New Orleans voodoo, meaning that if you want to be initiated, that is a whole different story. Now, I am part of a voodoo house. I am a member of a voodoo house. I am starting my initiatory practice. So I am a Kuzan of a voodoo house. So I can justify that one way. But New Orleans voodoo is an open practice. It does not see race or color or anything else. Number two, the Loa, who are the spirits, they call who they call. So they will call anyone. Doesn't matter what race you are from. When the Loa call you to service, they call you to service. So there's that. So I think when people hear the word voodoo, they get very confused and they just automatically assume Haitian voodoo, and they forget that there is New Orleans voodoo. So I'm sure that there were a lot of complaints about a white woman teaching voodoo, but I'm used to that. So
no, but they actually liked it, huh?
Yeah.
So I'm used to it. They were telling me the more classes I was giving. So remember one thing. Whatever you tell me, if you complain about something, I'm gonna do it.
Yes, and the voodoo witch portion is that I do practice modern witchcraft, but I also practice voodoo, so I combine the two together. So I created a practice that is uniquely my own practice.
And I think you do it very well. Even can I be honest? Even better than the previous ones that were the traditional ones. I would call it that way because otherwise I get sued. And but I need to tell you one thing. The people that complained were in your order, they from New Orleans. Then you have to go deep and deep. I cannot say we get sued, all four of us. And I'm kidding, of course. But just remember this thing. So what I would like everyone to open when you go to a Magick community. So it's about being open to any kind of color as well in this case. Because first of all, they can see you're white only because they can see your camera. If you switched off your camera and did a class, they would have liked it because they wouldn't have judged. And I try to, whatever is traditional, even about courses, I like to break it, okay? Otherwise it gets boring over the time. When we do my type of classes, or even these ones, when you put beliefs against each other, and you need to explain why you teach that way, why, you need to give a reason. Otherwise we follow like a group, and then the group does another thing. I never like that. And my favorite thing, which is something I'm trying to bring, but I already know that I'm going to go to jail if I do. It's a Satanist against an exorcist. I tried. They all told me to fuck off. So, but we are working on that. And I think Stefan is going to love it. Because since we were talking about Christianity, you need to know one thing. that, as you know, in Italy, I started my politician career, but I need to keep hidden that I work with witches, because they call me a Satanist, but not in a good way, in a bad way, because they watch too much Hollywood. I mean, if you go to to the movie, you go and watch The Conjuring, Ed and Lorraine Warren. They've been described as the pioneers, for example, of the paranormal. I think everyone is the pioneer, whoever practices it. However, there are people that like to be in the newspapers, people love to be on radios, and so on. So what I wanted to ask you, when a person, for example, if you're going to apply to a job, I'm not kidding, Liz, if you work for the state in that case, if you would have applied and say that you were a witch, would have been considered? I can tell you, as in the politics, I don't get accepted.
I know that when I first joined, it would have been considered and it would have been frowned upon. Now, I'm very lucky in the UK that people's perceptions are very open. So I would have got questions about my beliefs. I'd have got questions about, was I a black witch? Was I a white witch? Was I going to use it as part of my job? All that kind of stuff. But under European law, they are not allowed to discriminate against me because I am pagan. And I've actually used my witchcraft as part of the crime solving. Just that we had there was a dark arts murder. It was they were trying to take the spirit of the man who was killed. 3 brothers killed one brother, and they were trying to take his energy, and they did it. And I saw the photos of the scene, and I explained what had happened, and it actually helped them solve the crime because they'd got no idea who it was or the motive. So I guess it's not the first thing I do when I introduce myself to other people I don't know, especially outside of the UK. I find America very much more closed-minded. Whereas in the UK, if I say I'm a witch, especially if I say I'm a Norse witch, people are interested more than anything else. They don't go, oh my God, you're a Satanist. You're going to curse me, or you're a bad person, all that kind of thing. You're going to eat my children. They're more interested. Whereas in the US, it's like, oh, you're going to hell. And I'm like, yeah, okay, all my friends are going to be there. So yeah, that's cool with me. I don't believe in hell. I don't believe in demons. I don't believe in Satan because I'm not Christian. So yeah, the short answer is yes, I would say in the UK, not necessarily anywhere else.
Stefan, do you believe in demons? Stefan, I don't know if you, Stefan, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, do you believe in demons?
Well, I believe there's different energy forms, and I think that people put these titles on things like, and it's one of those things. Either you're part plan A or you're part plan B. It's like, what are you talking about? There's a whole nother alphabet going on out there. So everyone's trying to put these titles on. Like you were just talking about, we do all this stuff, and we work with witches, and we are witches, and we do these things, and everyone's just like, slamming down that gate, like, oh my God, you're a devil worshiper. How many times have people tell me, oh, you're so demonic? It's like, how? Because I look really cool and stuff. What are you talking about? I have no ill intent, and I'm not throwing ill intent out there. So I just, once again, it's energy forces, and everyone puts their tag on. Especially with like the Christian religion, they're saying yes to this, no to that, no. And I get it. They're trying to protect themselves for anything that's going to lead them astray of whatever they're supposed to be focusing on. But not everything is just good or evil. There's a whole worldly, universal dynamic out there. I've been called satanic before, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And people who use the term loosely as satanic don't even understand what satanic means. Satanic is not devil worship. It's a totally different thing. It's about putting yourself first and identifying with yourself and moving forward through the universe. It has nothing to do with whatever they're believing their book says. It's like, no, it's not this or that. There's a whole universe out there.
And there is one thing, since Zehara, in this case, would you, you work with any kind of spirit, Do you consider yourself like working with only good spirits, or I wouldn't call it again. I would call them again demons. Do you believe in these demons as well?
Do I believe in demons? Interesting question. I think there's definitely different energies out there. I think that there are spirits that are malevolent, that could hurt you. I definitely believe in that. I wouldn't call them demons, but I definitely believe in different energies that are out there that could be malevolent and hurtful, and that you do need to protect yourself from. I do believe that.
There's things like some people's interpretation. I work with dragons. Some people would see a dragon energy as demonic because they're very powerful. They can be very dark. They can have malevolent intents. So you have to be very careful with the way you work with them. But it's all interpretation. It's like Stefan said, it's shades of grey. It's not black and white.
Yeah.
Since we talk about all these bad energies, bad spirits, whatever, there is one thing that we haven't spoken about. So my question is, so the people, now we spoke about witches that do curses, witches, that don't. However, what do you think of people that actually ask for a curse? So for example, I know, for example, in Islam, they use, when something bad happens, they go to the Ayatollah, okay? And it's seen something, secret. So the Ayatollah, basically, it's like the police in the Islam. Then, in Christianity, they go to the priest. In the pagans, for me, they can go to a witch. Like in this case, I would go to Zehara, and I would ask, Zehara, can you curse somebody on my behalf? So my question is, for you, should I pay like a price? You were talking about karma in this case. Let's say you were telling that if you do something bad, something would come back. Zehara was the one in the case before doing something bad, okay? But what about the person that is actually asking for a curse? Is this person, this person should pay a price or no?
Yeah, definitely. I think, well, first off, let me just make something clear. There is definitely something different between a curse and a hex. So people hear curse and they immediately think like a curse is like horrific, and a curse is something that is done over the long term. It's not something that's just done once. And a hex is something that's done once, and it's basically to inconvenience a person. It's basically to make their life a inconvenience, as opposed to a curse, which is meant to significantly harm somebody's life. So there's a difference there. And so I wouldn't just throw around a curse to somebody if I didn't feel like they really, really needed it. A hex, something I do more often because I think a hex is more of an inconvenience. I have no problem inconveniencing somebody's life. So do I think that somebody should pay me for the work? Yes. I think anytime any witch does any kind of working, even if it's just simple spellcraft for love magic or whatever, they should be compensated. Absolutely. We're doing work for you on your behalf. So yes, they should absolutely be compensated for the work.
And the person that is actually doing it, should he pay not the price only about money, but the price, let's say, a spiritual price? So maybe I'm asking, for example, I would tell you, Zehara, can you curse this person because this person harmed, an animal? Okay. But the thing is, I am lying to you. Maybe nothing happened. So in this case, should I pay a spiritual price? Because you cannot verify. So what am I doing?
That wouldn't be for me to decide.
No.
Like I said, I wouldn't decide that.
Well, for example, the police can verify that I'm actually, in case I'm telling something about someone, they can actually verify that I'm telling the truth. Zehara, do you verify that actually? Do you just trust people, or do you actually verify that they did something?
Do I verify that that person actually did something? No, I don't. I just trust that that person is telling me the truth. But I also do readings. I'll do a tarot reading before I do any kind of spell work. Even if it's a hex or a curse, I still do a tarot reading. That helps me sort of determine what I need to do. So if somebody comes to me and tells me something, that sounds totally egregious, and I do a tarot card reading and it's just something small, then I will do a hex. So I usually go off of what my reading will tell me.
Before we close, Stefan. So
Yes,
now you need to tell me. Yeah, you need to tell me. Would you ever pay somebody to do a course? I fucking would. I did it. To my previous boss, to my former boss, I fucking hate her. I'm sorry, she was pissing me off every fucking day. I had to call her back at the time, Kaya. It was impossible to deal with, and I'm so happy. And
okay.
would you pay somebody?
You know what? I think about it almost on a daily basis sometimes, dealing with certain peoples. But once again, like Zehara was saying, if you're going to ask someone to do a curse or any type of spell work for you, you should pay. Because it's not just them, it's just doing it. They're giving a piece of their energy, their intent. They're giving a lot to do this for you. It's not for them, it's for you. So you should pay them for the work they're doing and the energy they're giving. Now, going back to your statement, is if, do you believe everything someone say? What if they're lying? She's not going to look into that. I'm not going to look at anybody's not going to look into that because that's a lot more work. And it's how do you do that? I think the person who's trying to do that under false pretenses is opening themselves up to something else. The spirits and the energies around them are going to go, well, hold on, wait a second. This guy is full of crap. So maybe your spell won't work as good. Maybe it's going to come back. And once again, we're talking about the whole boomerang of karma thing. The spirits are going to start, like Liz was saying. It's not up to her. It's up to the spirit guides and the spirits that she's working with to decide that fate. Zehara just said, when I hear this stuff before I do my work on that, I'm going to do a reading. I'm going to look clearly at this. What's really going on there? And she might realize, well, hey, hold on. This is not exactly what that person was saying. It's a little bit, but not to that extreme. So she's going to decide to just do a hexing instead. So whatever that person's intent in trying to get something to harm someone to harm somebody else, that still falls on them.
Well, thank you. I will close it for today because the next time I really would like to talk about divination, and I need to bring, this. There is something about this Ouija board, and I know that I didn't pronounce it in the right way, but I did it I did it on purpose, and I really would like to bring a priest to do this. I need to ask. You need to know that we used to have exorcists in the school, but the thing is, we can say didn't really work out between the church, they follow an order, their order was not much for it, they were not very happy because most part of students were actually Satanists going to their classes, and it was more like an open discussion. That's why it came out this idea of the podcast. It was between Bishop Long and Jesus, which is the Satanist guy, and it's actually funny that a guy called Jesus pronounced by in American in English, so that is actually Satanist. It's actually funny. So that's how it came out. This idea of the podcast. I was watching the old recordings, and I think it's actually interesting, and I can see when when we see, I'm sorry, haunted dolls. I know I shouldn't call them dolls. Okay, I'm aware. Sorry. And
Poor girl. What was it?
There are so many myths that I would like, to fight, because when I talk about people, I work in the paranormal. Oh no, what the fuck? In Italy, you cannot do that. You're a criminal. So I think you know what I mean. In fact, America, it's always been the most open place. I know that you guys complain about America, that sometimes it's closed, about some beliefs, like we were talking about before, the political stuff. But trust me, when it comes to paranormal, it's like a paradise for us. So the paradise of the paranormal exists, and it's US in this case. Because everybody can give his own opinion. There are, of course, community fights, like I was telling before, about the Vodou community in New Orleans. That I remember they were just going crazy, and I don't know. It was my favorite part of the job. Otherwise, all day sending emails it would be boring. And well, guys, thank you. So I think we did 50 minutes. It's that covers up a good time for a class.
Perfect. Nice.
And I think
And we have live viewers watching, so that's great.
How many?
It keeps going. Right now, there's 11 people watching us still.
That's actually
not too bad for a random class. For a random class out of nowhere, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually happy because that's we're gonna send the recording. I'm gonna be sending to the people listening to, and I'm gonna be sending over via email and via Patreon. I think we can actually post it on Patreon. So Patreon, I will put the free access, of course, and cool. So that everybody can catch it. And plus, I think I love the classes we do. It's just a small format I wanted to put, putting ideas against each other, because at the same time you see that it didn't end up in a fight, and but it was a constructive, and I wanted a fight, of course. No, I'm kidding. And
I find I learn more. Like you said, yeah. Having to justify what you believe, it makes you really think deeply about what you do believe and why you believe it. So having a debate with somebody actually means you learn more about your own practice as well as learning about theirs. So yeah, I think it's fantastic.
Even teachers, let's be honest, I mean, apart from the teachers meeting we do maybe once a year, you don't actually meet each other. So I think it's even important, maybe Zehara next time goes to Liz, and Liz next time goes to Zehara, because Zehara, I think, actually did the classes on Hexes, Curses, the various the differences. And I think it's nice, just to watch. So Zehara I just want, somebody to question. So what I'm doing right now, is it right? Of course it is. But what I mean is, create questions inside teachers, because even teachers are there learning. Okay, if you go to Stefan classes, for example, from today we haven't gone deep. I want to go deep next episode from a paranormal investigator point of view, apart from a witch point of view. Because, for example, if you have a spirit and you put a spirit in an house, who are they gonna call? A medium, if the medium. Otherwise, there is the paranormal investigator, like in this case, Stefan. And I have to be honest, I saw more paranormal investigators, not because talking about money, because it was costing them less. I saw that too. It was costing less money. So they were calling paranormal investigators, even YouTubers, that were just doing it for content, but they were actually investigating the house. I saw that back in Jersey. And so this is something, that before we close, actually, Stefan, have you ever investigated an house that you believed from a person that was cursed, bad spirit in, somebody called you for an emergency, something,
For me, yeah. I've had to go into some pretty intense stuff before, I've seen a lot of amazing things that I was not ready for. And it, like you said, every experience we do is a learning session. I've had to learn to put my guard up stronger, to be more relaxed. A lot of people rush into these situations where things are getting out of control, dealing with these energy forces, and they're just hyping themselves up, just feeding the intensity. You need to be able to go in there cool, calm-headed, and understand what's going on. Because if there is some kind of spiritual battle going on there, you need to pause it for a minute and figure out what's going on between what energies. I don't go in there, blazing fire and throwing lightning bolts saying, you need to leave now. I want to know what happened. Hey, you guys, let's sit down and talk about it. Where's this happy medium how we can deal with this stuff, So it takes a lot. Like I said, I've been punched in the face by things. I have been bitten, scratched multiple times. I've been pretty much beaten up by some things before. And I don't take it personally. It's just part of what I do, and the understanding and trying to help these people who are in the middle of it, who are almost like innocent victims, just dealing with craziness around them. That's part of my job too, to be the psychologist and trying to help them understanding what's going on and how to coexist. And that's the big thing.
I love what you.
Sorry.
sorry. I was going to say that reminds me of a huge poltergeist case I was called into. It was 2 flats, 2 apartments, one above each other, and it started off originated in one apartment, and it moved down to the ground floor apartment. And I was called in to find out what was going on, and it turns out it was a drug addict who'd overdosed, didn't realize he'd passed away, and was kicking off because there were these random people in his apartment. And I went in and kind of went, okay, what's going on? What's the problem? And he's like, well, these people are in my house. And I had to explain to him, like, actually, it's not your house. It's not your apartment. So yeah, I totally get where you're coming from, Stefan.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly that. You got to sit them both down and go, okay, hold on. This is their place now. It's not your place anymore, but they're taking care of it for you. So it's all going to be good. Sometimes that's all it takes.
But there is one thing, that when I used to go in ghost hunts, I have something. I don't have patience, as you know, whoever worked with me. I never had so much patience. So when I was going into maybe an investigation as well, what I used to do, and you're going to say that it's wrong, of course, this is something that nobody has to do, I used to piss off the spirit. So every single investigation ended up, I have videos that are crazy even on my Instagram of things getting thrown. But it was not after a night, it was after 5 minutes. So I was able to, I have a talent. I can piss off people, but I can even piss off people after they're dead. This is something like a talent that nobody can take away from me. And
yeah, there you go. Everyone's got to have their own kind of style. So yeah.
So let's to go back serious. In this case, since you go investigate in this kind of houses, would you condemn? Because it can be even a spirit that comes out from a curse. From Zehara. Maybe Zehara does a curse on me. No. And I call Stefan. To investigate my house. Do you condemn Zehara's actions? Today, Zehara, I'm giving you a platoon and not giving you an interview.
Go in there. It's like, I can feel it. Zehara's curses everywhere. We're going to need a big broom to sweep all this curse out of here. We're going to try to dissipate energy. Whatever attachment's happening, we're just going to need to work on. And I always say that. Well, you got a mountain of paranormal energy here, so grab a pitchfork and we're just going to start chipping away the stone, and hopefully it gets better. That's all you can really do. But everyone has their reason for whatever they're doing. So you just have to go in there and deal with it the best you can. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes all you can do is, going back to what I was saying before, coexistence. Let's break it down to where it's livable and coexist with its energy force. Don't start to continue going back and forth with a war. There's movies about that kind of stuff. It doesn't end very well. So, we just got to do what we can do.
Before we close, I wanted to give a message. Now, of course, we joke a lot about things, but remember one thing, even from, there are so many people who do it as a business. They do it for a living, even being a witch, And if there was not a person that was cursing, if there wasn't, for example, Zehara, leaks, maybe you were not going to get called from people to do, like cleansing, like, helping this kind of people. So it's all a chain, and that's, I call it natural order, talking about what we were telling. So the thing is, I know that in the community we fight because there are groups that want to do one thing and the other, but remember that we study things because other people do the opposite. Okay, always been that way. So if Zehara and me tonight mess up with another, and it means that maybe you and Stefan have to go and help this person. So it's all a chain, okay? That's why I always say respect each other, enjoy, because at the same time, let's be honest, when you go in something which is haunted, you fucking enjoy it. I fucking enjoy it.
And at the end of the day, we don't know what's right or wrong.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
We're just trying to direct traffic as we're standing there. Okay, you come through. Hold on, you got to go through it. Okay, just gotta work it out.
Except that Rush been waking me up at 6 a.m. in the morning. That one is fucking wrong. And except for that, no, we don't know. Okay, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll see you.
All right, you guys. Good to see you all. That was fun. We'll talk soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.